All right, so we're diving deep today into the fifth Jews of the Quran.
Yes, we are.
And specifically, I'm excited about this one. We're looking at Surah Al-Ma'idah.
Surah Al-Ma'idah, right.
This one's really cool because it's kind of like a guidebook, you know?
Yeah.
For Muslims, it talks about like everything.
Yeah,
From what they eat to how they interact with others. It's got it all.
it really does. Like all these everyday things,
Yeah. It's like how to live your life.
I mean, I think that's what's really fascinating about the Quran in general. But what's unique about this, Jews, is how it really gets into the nitty-gritty of everyday practices, you know? It's not just like high-level concepts. It's giving you specific examples.
Right, exactly. And I think that's what brings it to life. You know, you can really see how these principles actually like weave into the fabric of a Muslim's life.
That's a really good point. So let's start with something that I think is probably pretty familiar to most people.
Okay.
Halal and haram, these dietary laws.
Now, most people know, like, the basics, right? What's allowed, what's not. But I'm curious, in the fifth Jews, what specific examples do we see that really illustrate how these rules impact a Muslim's life?
Well, there's this one passage I find really fascinating. It's about sharing meals with people of other faiths.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it outlines, what's permissible and what's not in those situations. But what's really cool is it emphasizes respect and understanding in those interactions. It's not just about avoiding certain foods, it's about how you engage with the people you're sharing the meal with.
So it's kind of like halal and haram. It's not just a personal choice. It actually shapes how Muslims engage with their community.
Exactly. And I think that's especially important in diverse settings where you're interacting with people from all sorts of different backgrounds.
Yeah, absolutely. It highlights the social dimension of these practices. So it's not just about individual piety. It's about navigating a multicultural world. And this idea of community is further emphasized in the fifth Jews with, like, the discussion of the covenant with the children of Israel, right?
Absolutely. So in the fifth Jews, it actually reiterates this covenant made with the children of Israel, and it does so in a way that reminds Muslims of their own commitment to Allah's commandments.
Right.
And it goes into specifics, like upholding justice, avoiding idolatry, honoring your parents. And it links these back to the covenant as a model for righteous conduct.
But it doesn't shy away from the consequences of breaking the covenant either. Right.
Exactly.
This is where things get a little intense.
Yeah.
You know, this section details punishments for offenses like theft and adultery.
Right.
And I think for some people reading this today, they might be like, whoa, hold on,
Yeah.
So what's the takeaway here? Is it purely about punishment or is there something more to it?
Yeah, I think it's much more nuanced than that. And it's really important to remember the historical context, right? Like, while the punishments might seem harsh to us today, the fifth Jews is emphasizing establishing justice and deterring actions that would, disrupt the community's well-being.
Right. It was a framework for maintaining social order.
Exactly.
So it's about setting clear boundaries and protecting the community from harm.
Right.
But that protection extends beyond just legal matters. I mean, the fifth Jews also talks about like treating people of other faiths with respect.
Right.
How does it balance like maintaining Islamic values with navigating this multi-faith world?
Yeah, that's a great question. So I think what's really interesting is it encourages kindness and fairness in all your interactions, even with people who don't share your beliefs. And it actually highlights examples of prophets interacting with other communities.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and it emphasizes justice even in disagreements.
But never compromising your core beliefs.
Right, exactly.
It's a delicate balance.
It is.
So, we talked about interacting with people of other faiths, but within the Muslim community itself, this Jews stresses practices that strengthen those bonds.
Yeah.
Like prayer, right?
Absolutely. So the fifth Jews repeatedly emphasizes prayer, both individual prayer and communal prayer.
Okay.
And it highlights how these collective acts of worship, like the Friday prayer, they foster the sense of unity, the shared purpose.
Yeah.
So these rituals are presented as crucial, not just for individual spiritual growth, but also for the well-being of the community as a whole.
It's interesting how it connects personal devotion to communal well-being.
Yeah.
But while it emphasizes unity, it also calls out harmful practices that can damage the community. What are some examples of that?
Well, one striking example is the condemnation of superstition
Oh, okay.
and reliance on anything other than Allah.
Right.
And I think this reflects a broader message throughout the fifth Jews, which is the rejection of anything that contradicts Islamic teachings or anything that could lead individuals astray.
So it's about upholding the purity of the faith,
Exactly.
protecting people from harmful influences. Now, towards the end of the Jews, there's a pretty significant shift in focus.
Yeah,
With the declaration of the finality of Prophet Muhammad's message.
right.
How does the fifth Jews convey this concept?
It uses very powerful language. It declares that Muhammad is the final messenger and that his message completes the cycle of prophets. It emphasizes that this revelation is a culmination of previous scriptures. It doesn't contradict them, it builds on them. And this is a cornerstone of Islamic belief.
Okay.
It emphasizes the enduring relevance of the Quran's message.
So it's not just about accepting the message blindly.
Right.
It's about understanding its place within a larger religious history.
Exactly.
And ultimately, it emphasizes individual accountability on the Day of Judgment.
Precisely. The fifth Jews reminds readers that following the prophet's teachings has consequences, both in this life and the next. This finality of the message underscores the weight of our individual actions and the importance of living a righteous life.
Wow, it's amazing. The fifth Jews really provides this detailed framework for a just and harmonious society.
It does.
It goes beyond simple rules. It provides concrete examples. It makes it feel so relevant even in today's complex world.
Right, exactly.
What I find fascinating is how it weaves together individual actions, community well-being, and the interactions with the wider world.
Yeah.
It offers this comprehensive vision. After going through this, Jews, it leaves me with a question.
Okay.
How can we, in our modern context, draw inspiration from these principles to address the challenges we face today
Right.
and build a more just and compassionate world?
Right.
That's what I'm left thinking about.
Yeah, and I think that's the beauty of studying these texts, isn't it? They're not just historical documents. They offer us guidance and inspiration for how to live our lives today.
Exactly. All right, well, I think that's a perfect place to wrap up our deep dive into the fifth Jews.
I agree.
Until next time.
Until next time.